I used to believe that if you worked hard, followed the rules, and saved every dollar you could, life would take care of you in the end. I was wrong. I'm telling you this now from the same living room where I once sat with a cup of tea and a quiet sense of pride, believing I had finally earned peace. The same couch where I used to run numbers in my head, my savings, my pension, my plans, the same window where I imagined my future, slow mornings, gardening, visiting my grandchildren, maybe one trip to Italy before my knees gave out. And now, this is the same room where I learned how quickly a lifetime can disappear in the blink of an ambulance light. My name is Margaret Collins. I'm 72 years old. And this is the story of how one medical emergency erased 40 years of saving, and what it taught me about survival, dignity, and the American healthcare system. I grew up in Ohio, the daughter of a factory worker and a school cafeteria cook. We didn't have much, but we had rules. You show up, you don't waste, you save for tomorrow. I took those rules seriously. I became a librarian at 23 and stayed one for 40 years. I never owned fancy cars. I never lived in big houses. I packed my lunch every day. I clipped coupons before it was trendy. I skipped vacations so I could add another $100 to my savings account. People used to laugh at me. "Margaret, you can't take it with you," they'd say. And I'd smile and answer, "No, but I can take peace with me." By the time I retired at 67, I had done it right. A modest pension, a retirement account I protected like a newborn, enough to live simply but comfortably. I finally felt safe. For the first time in my life, I stopped worrying about money. That was my first mistake. It was a Tuesday in early March. I remember because I had just watered my plants. The pain came suddenly, sharp, crushing, like someone had reached inside my chest and twisted something the wrong way. I tried to breathe, I couldn't. My phone slipped from my hand as I collapsed onto the kitchen floor. I don't remember the ambulance ride clearly. Just lights, voices, hands pressing on my chest. Someone saying, "Ma'am, stay with me." I woke up in the ICU with wires everywhere, and a nurse telling me I'd had a major cardiac event. They saved my life. I will always be grateful for that. But no one warned me what saving my life would cost. 3 weeks later, after surgery, tests and rehabilitation, I was finally back home. I felt fragile but hopeful. Then the mail started coming. At first, I thought there was a mistake. $14,320, $8,970, $42,115, $3,640. Bill after bill after bill. I sat at my dining table, spreading them out like a deck of cards I didn't want to play. I had Medicare. I had supplemental insurance. I thought I was protected. I wasn't. Every bill said something different. Out of network. Not fully covered. Patient responsibility. Balance due. I called the hospital. I called the insurance company. I waited on hold for hours listening to cheerful music while my heart sank deeper. One woman finally said, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but this is your responsibility." I remember whispering, but I did everything right. She paused, then said, "I understand, but understanding doesn't pay bills." At first, I used my emergency fund. That's what it was for, right? Then I dipped into my retirement savings. Just a little. Then more. Then more. Every withdrawal felt like pulling a brick out of the foundation of my life. I had worked 40 years for that money, and in less than 6 months, it was gone. One evening, I sat alone in this very living room and stared at my bank statement until the numbers blurred. I wasn't angry yet. I was scared. Scared in a way I hadn't been since I was a child watching my parents worry over bills at the kitchen table. I had become the person I promised myself I'd never be, an old woman afraid of money. There's a special kind of shame that comes with financial collapse in old age. You don't tell your friends. You don't tell your children. You smile and pretend you're fine. Because at 70, you're supposed to have life figured out. But I didn't. I started cutting corners, turning the heat down lower, buying cheaper groceries, skipping prescriptions to stretch the month. One day at the pharmacy, I put back a medication because it cost too much. The young cashier looked at me kindly and said, "Are you sure?" I nodded and went home and cried in the bathroom so no one would hear me. I used to believe the American healthcare system was flawed but fair. Now I know better. It is brilliant at saving lives and ruthless at billing them. I met other patients in cardiac rehab, a retired truck driver who sold his home to pay for chemo, a teacher who declared bankruptcy after a stroke, A widow who skipped treatments because she didn't want to leave debt to her children. We didn't talk politics. We talked survival. We talked about fear. We talked about how strange it felt to live in a country where getting sick could cost more than dying. There was a night, just one, when I thought maybe I shouldn't have survived. Not because I wanted to die, but because I felt like a burden. I sat on the edge of my bed and whispered, "I'm sorry," to no one in particular. Sorry for being old. Sorry for being sick. Sorry for costing so much. That was the lowest moment of my life. But it was also the moment everything began to change. My daughter, Emily, found out by accident when she saw a notice from a collection agency. She drove over that same night. She didn't yell. She didn't lecture. She hugged me and said, "Mom, you don't have to do this alone." I had spent my whole life being strong for everyone else. I forgot I was allowed to be weak too. With her help, I met with a financial counselor. We negotiated bills, applied for assistance programs I didn't even know existed, set up payment plans that wouldn't crush me. I learned something important. The system may be cold, but people don't have to be. Yes, I lost my retirement savings. I lost my sense of financial security. I lost the future I imagined. But I gained something else. I gained my voice. I started speaking at local community centers, telling seniors what no one told me. Don't assume you're safe. Ask questions. Fight bills. Demand explanations. Plan for the unthinkable. Because illness doesn't ask if you're ready. Today, I live more simply than I ever imagined. I don't travel. I don't splurge. I don't dream about Italy anymore. But I wake up every morning grateful I can still sit by my window and watch the sun rise. Grateful I can still tell my story. Grateful I survived, not just the heart attack but the aftermath. If you're watching this in your comfortable home, with your savings account and your insurance card in your wallet, let me tell you something I wish someone had told me. It only takes one diagnosis. One ambulance ride, one surgery. That's all it takes to turn a lifetime of planning into a lifetime of recovery. I don't tell my story to scare you. I tell it to wake you up. Because in America, we teach people how to work hard. We teach them how to save. We teach them how to retire. But we don't teach them what to do when getting sick becomes the most expensive thing they'll ever do. I am not a failure. I am not irresponsible. I am not weak. I am simply an American woman who got sick and paid the price. And if my story reaches even one person who believes they are safe just because they did everything right, then my struggle will mean something. Because the truth is this: I lost my retirement in one medical emergency, but I did not lose my dignity. I did not lose my voice, and I did not lose my right to demand a system that treats human lives as more than invoices. I sit in this living room now, older, poorer, but wiser than I've ever been. And when I look at my empty savings account, I no longer see failure.